Hello, today I will be talking about movie review number 375. And this movie is called Dune or Dune Part 1. This is a 2021 film directed by Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve, which is spelled DenisVilleneuve. Denis Villeneuve. This is a Warner Bros. Pictures and Legendary Pictures movie that I saw November 7th, 2021 at AMC Dine-In Anderson Town Center in Anderson, Ohio. And this was a pretty good movie. And I've been hearing this was a lot more faithful than the other adaptation made in 19 something, I think 1984, I believe. Well, on this 2021 film, I heard that it's generally well received by critics for the visual scope and ambition of the film, and I believe this was a little bit more faithful adaptation because this Dune movie, the 2021 version, this covers only half of the book. The second half of the book, Part 2, will be released later, but for Dune Part 1, is about Paul Atreides, who is a brilliant and gifted young man born into a great destiny beyond his understanding. And he must travel to the most dangerous planet in the universe to ensure the future of his family and his people. As malevolent forces is brought into conflict over the planet's exclusive supply of the most precious resource and assistance, only those who can conquer their own fear will survive. So, I will say this was very good. I did, however, have a little trouble with the dialogue, but overall, I thought it was a good movie. I will say there's not a lot of action in this movie, but that's probably because most of the action is going to be in the second half of the book, in the second movie. So I think the first half will concede with the events of the second half. Don't get me wrong, there was some action in the movie. Um, there wasn't as much action as I thought, but I really like the characters. Um, Now there are some characters that has more screen time than others, but this has a bunch of actors, like Timothy Chalamet, who plays Paul in the movie, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Stephen McKinley Henderson, Zendaya, David Dastmalchian, Shane Chien, Sharon Duncan Brewster, Charlotte Rampling, Jason Momoa, and Javier Bardem. And so, after the critical and commercial failure of the 1984 Dune movie from David Lynch, Warner Bros. And Legendary decided to try their own adaptation into the Dune franchise, with Denis Villeneuve decided to direct. And I will say this was probably more faithful to the book. And I like how because the book is very long, I like how they conducted into two movies. And there was more dialogue in the first film, I'm gonna say. Well, I haven't seen the second one, but I'm gonna say that there's probably gonna be more action. Although I do see the second movie, I would like to read the book. Probably maybe next year, which will probably be a year before the second movie comes out. But because this was generally well received by critics and audiences, they have decided to move forward with Part 2, which will release in October 2023. And I thought this was a good movie. So, Paul's family, which is the noble house Atreides, is thrust into a war for the deadly and inhospitable desert planet known as Arrakis. And this is set in the far future. And Paul's been having dreams of a girl who is Zendaya's character about the planet Arrakis. And so I will say some actors have a larger screen time than others. Some not as much screen time. I won't say what happens, but let's just say, all right, I'm not going to reveal what happens, but to those who read the book, you might understand what might happen. As far as not everybody makes it out at the end of the movie, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to reveal anything that happens, but the movie does set up the events for Dune Part 2. So even though the movie is called Dune, on in the actual movie it's called Dune Part 1. Which makes sense because the second movie is going to be called Dune Part 2. And it's just pretty good. And I can tell that the producers and directors spent a lot of time into this movie. However, the thing that might have hurt this movie the most could have been the fact that this was on HBO Max. This was one of the several Warner Bros. Pictures movies that were released in 2021, where the movie would be in theaters and HBO Max in the same day. I wonder if the box office for Dream Part 2 might be higher because it's going to be an exclusive theatrical release. But I'd say go see this in theaters, guys. It's better. In my opinion, there's more experience that way. Now, this film is pretty long, 2 hours and 35 minutes. Maybe the second movie would be even longer. But it is pretty good. Hopefully, I'll understand some of the dialogue better before the second movie. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good. And I can't wait to see what they do with Part 2. So that's my movie review of Dune Part 1. Please stay tuned for my next movie review. Alright, goodbye.